Warning: may contain language of a harsh or sexual nature. Listener discretion is advised. The really great thing about anime and manga is that there are mediums that open themselves up to any sort of target audience and facilitate an infinite variety of storytelling techniques. Yes, a lot of the time the potential of these mediums isn't truly tested, but there are those who utilise the power of visual storytelling in the panelled medium of manga to tell unforgettable stories that are outlandish enough to be compelling, but still very firmly rooted in reality and informed by the real life experiences of its creator. Today's subject is none other than Shuzo Oshimi's unique coming-of-age tale, The Flowers of Evil. Nowhere to go and nothing to do. The routine of class and endless stupidity in a provincial town is taking a toll on middle schooler Takeo Kasuga. Though he gets along well enough with his peers, they'll never begin to understand his escapist passion for literature, and especially his penchant for the poems of Charles Baudelaire. Yet his life threatens to take a turn for the worse when he finds and takes home, in a moment of weakness, the gym clothes of his crush, Nanako Sayaki. Witness to the theft is Sawa Nakamura, the oddest girl in class who considers the whole world a pile of shitbugs and nurses a passion for anarchy. The story of The Flowers of Evil is heavily influenced by the life experience of its creator, Shuzo Oshimi, and the result of that influence is a narrative that feels very true to life. The wider focus is on puberty as a whole, from start to finish, and it's portrayed as an unavoidable struggle. Each of the characters in this series suffers at the hands of their own hormone-fueled emotions and actions, whether literally or mentally. Some embrace this change with wild curiosity, and others deny the inevitable change with self-loathing consequences. The primary focus of this series is on Kasuga's developing relationship with the enigmatic Nakamura. We see the relationship evolve from pure blackmail to mutual anarchy to something much more complex. There are times when Kasuga's persuasion towards Nakamura comes off as a little perplexing since their relationship seems abusive, but I suppose it's the point of Nakamura to be this totally mind-boggling person whom nobody can truly understand. You could also say that puberty itself is perplexing for anyone going through it, and therefore her obscurity is in itself a part of this major theme. Although a possible flaw in the story is that it does rely heavily on the use of metaphors, symbolism and other techniques to get its message across in terms of storytelling. It's not casual reading material honestly, but if you have the attention span to invest yourself fully in a story, then it's an absolute joy to read. The characters in this series are all very lifelike, due in part to real life influences, including characters inspired by people Shuzo Oshimi knew growing up, and due to the central theme of puberty. The struggles of these people are very easy to sympathise with, as they're all deeply rooted in the process of sexual maturity. This also makes certain moments where our characters chaotically express themselves feel very liberating for the reader in a guilty kind of way. Our protagonist Kasuga is a pretty regular kid who simply views himself as being above most of his classmates. I think that this works because most of us have that kind of mindset when we're his age really. Kasuga is the embodiment of the sexually confused 13-year-old whom anyone and everyone can relate to. That's the great thing about Kasuga. The protagonist is the role of the narrator, a character within the narrative whose purpose is to invest the reader in the world and the story going on within it. A good protagonist usually has to be tailored to the target audience because most attitudes and life experiences are subjective, as no two people live the same lives. Kasuga though is characterised entirely by a process that every human being, regardless of gender or upbringing, is, has or will go through. He is relatable to the widest possible target demographic of absolutely anyone, and if you can't relate to him then it's only a matter of time before you do. Although he lacks Nakamura's stage presence, he's perfect as a relatable window into the world of the story. Nakamura is this enigmatic sadist with a nihilistic opinion on everything and everyone. She is yet another relatable character who represents the rebellious side of puberty. She is a free-spirited, anti-authoritarian young girl who expresses her confusion and frustration with sexual growth through violent outbursts, coarse language and destructive tendencies, loathing the very perversion that is taking root inside of her. There's something very liberating about her approach to Kasuga, vowing to peel off all the skin he's hiding behind, effectively freeing him from the societally rooted delusion that everybody is above the idea of sex, when really it's all anyone their age can ever think about. The final important character in the story is a girl named Tokiwa Tokiwa, who Kasuga begins to fall for thanks to her similarity to Nakamura. Though she lacks Nakamura's sadistic streak and instead possesses a passion for literature that rivals Kasuga's. While concerned about the same aspects of puberty as Kasuga, Nakamura and Sayaki are, she possesses a mature approach to the idea, more sure of what it is she wants out of life. This mishmash doesn't result in a totally perfect character, as her motivations and some of the things she says come off as confusing. But her role in the narrative as an opportunist is much appreciated as she is willing to push Kasuga further, assisting him in finding some closure as the story itself draws to an end. She is an undeniably refreshing addition to the cast though. While watching Kasuga and Nakamura's hormone-fueled deeds of delinquency is great fun, it is a calming change to watch Tokiwa self-awaredly consider her own emotions. Every character represents another facet of puberty, the central theme of the Flowers of Evil. They are all deeply flawed individuals whose lives aren't destined for perfection and who are all tormented by their own sexual maturity. They all see themselves as abnormal and are troubled as they struggle to achieve normality, which can only come at the end of their puberty. Once again, each of these characters feels very real as they are all informed by real life experience. As I always say, a character can't be considered perfect until the audience thinks of them as a person and not a character. It is a triumph that almost everyone in the Flowers of Evil, from Nakamura's beautiful inaccessibility to Kasuga's awkward passion, everyone feels entirely tangible. You can imagine walking into a classroom and meeting these people. Nakamura even eventually transcends this tangibility, becoming an icon in the mind of the audience. What do I mean by that? I can't tell you. That would be spoiler territory and we just don't do that here. Honestly, there isn't too much to say about the art style itself. It's a very realistic style that starts out flip-flopping between cartoonish amounts of expression and no expression at all. Initially, the detail and character expressions lack subtlety, but as the characters develop and as Shuzo Shime becomes more used to drawing them, this problem is ironed out the hard way. As the artist's confidence grows, the story begins to rely on visual storytelling more and more, which is the strongest point of the artwork. There's even an entire epilogue chapter completely devoid of dialogue, dedicated to telling its story purely through the artwork, resulting in a positively tear-inducing afterstory. The absurdist image of the Flower of Evil itself is also an absolute treat of a symbol for the most literature-savvy reader. Now, the artwork itself is what truly brings the tension and drama of the Flowers of Evil to life. Each character design is distinct enough to tell apart, which is a significant detail in a character-driven story reliant on visual storytelling via a black and white medium. Though there are moments where Tokiwa can be easily mistaken for Nakamura, this is an intentional narrative tool. Landscape backgrounds and establishing shots are drawn breathtakingly as they are based on the real location of Kiryu in the Gunma Prefecture of Japan, while backgrounds and other types of shots are usually less detailed and lack shading. But this is forgivable as the prime focus of the series is in its characters, and as it takes place in our world, there's little in the way of pesky visual world building to be getting on with. The Flowers of Evil isn't for everyone. There's a storytelling facet to this series that casual readers just won't pick up on, and even dedicated readers may need to consult online analyses, of which there are very few, to understand it at all. But what we've got here is something brutally honest, cruelly relatable, and emotionally stirring. I'd been reading the first 5 volumes on a casual basis, but when I decided to do a review in this series, I picked up the remaining 6. When I started reading, I just couldn't stop, and despite my usual habits, I had those 6 volumes finished in one sitting. I was totally absorbed in Kasuga's struggle and entranced by the whole narrative. The torments of puberty are something that not just me, but nearly every boy or girl who knows this unique and yet widely identifiable kind of suffering can relate to. The Flowers of Evil is an acknowledgement of the flaws of adolescence and a dedication to the goal of overcoming it that is set by every adolescent in the world. Although the way it gets its message across might be lost on some people, I strongly urge anyone who hasn't tried it yet to give it a good solid chance. You might just find yourself as invested in this gorgeous coming of age tale as I was. All 11 volumes of The Flowers of Evil are available in English from Vertical Comics. If you're an e-reader type, then they're available from Amazon on any Kindle device. If you're looking for another dark coming-of-age manga, then I'd recommend Goodnight Pun Pun by Inyo Asano. It's another series that incorporates themes of puberty but takes a more absurdist approach to its character building. On the other hand, if you're looking for a manga about an unconventional romance, then I'd point you to Orange by Ichigo Takano. Alongside real-life themes, there is an element of time travel, the exploration of which is key to the budding romance between the 2 main characters. Hopefully one of these will be to your liking, and until next time, cheerio.